Hey guys, I hope you're hungry. Welcome back to War Stories here on the Florence Channel. My name is Jericho. Today on War Stories, we're going to be continuing our Legends series, where I talk about the old expanded universe that Disney, in all their infinite wisdom, decided to do away with, and relay some of those legends, as they're now called, so that they don't get forgotten. Because as we all know, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. And it's because of stuff like this. So today's legend is the legend of the Millenium Falcon, the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy, as it is so well known. The Falcon is a YT 1300 Carillion freighter. And I say freighter on purpose. Its original job was as a tugboat. It has the capability to move and push cargo, and that was the first thing it was used for. As it labored under the name of the Stellar Envoy. So that was how the Millenium Falcon was built, how it came to be. The Stellar Envoy had a relatively undistinguished career that passed through multiple pilots before then. Each of which were, did its own modifications and changes, leading to, the ramshackle experience that we all know and love to this day. So the Stellar Envoy ended up crashing aboard the smuggler's moon Nar Shaddaa, and was completely destroyed, actually. So it was rechristened the Second Chance when it was rebuilt from scratch, which is a cool little thing that I didn't know until I researched for this episode. Yes, the Millenium Falcon was once known as the Stellar Envoy, was completely destroyed, rechristened the Second Chance aptly. Oh, it was nice of the Slave One to just die. That'll help. Rechristened the Second Chance, and it was named that for a while until it was renamed after the Bat Falcon and was called the Millenium Falcon. That was its name when it came into the ownership of Lando Calrissian. Now, it has been established even in the new continuity that Lando lost the control of the Millenium Falcon to Han in a game of Sabacc, which is a Star Wars card game. I'm going to talk about Sabacc a good bit, so we're going to go into the rules of the game. What's interesting, though, is that even in the new continuity, that still is the case. There was a new book. I can't remember. I didn't find the source for it, but that is still a thing that Lando lost to Han in a game of Sabacc. But it was mentioned something about that it was a game of Carillion Spike Sabacc where they used dice as well, and I don't really know how that would work. But that's apparently the origin of the dice that you can see in the Millenium Falcon's cockpit in A New Hope. So I guess that's cool. You have to explain every single little bit of ephemera. It can't just be because Han thought they were funny or something. But, whatever. I do like that still is the in-universe explanation. We'll see if they hold that, as Lando has been confirmed for the solo Han Solo movie played by Donald Glover, which will be amazing. And they have said that the ownership of the Falcon will take place in this movie, which is awesome. Really cool news. So Sabacc is basically poker crossed with blackjack, with some future influences. So, like blackjack, you're trying to get to a specific total. In blackjack it's 21, in Sabacc it's 23. But like poker, you have a big hand of cards, you're dealt new cards, and what makes Sabacc especially interesting or crazy or whatever you want to call it is the fact that there is a randomizer. At random intervals, the cards in your hand will change, so your point total will change. There are different just like suits, I think flasks, staves, coins, and I think there's one other, but I can't remember it for sure. And then there are face cards that don't belong to specific suits, but just have their own points. The Queen of Air and Darkness is one, and which I think is worth positive 13. There are positive and negative totals, and getting negative 23 is almost as good. The only thing that beats negative 23 is positive 23, or a certain hand, which I'll be discussing later. I lost my place. That's like really the hardest thing. People are like surprised when I tell them that I very rarely do post commentary. It's always while I'm trying to play. And it's not so bad. I enjoy playing and talking at the same time. I grew up that way, playing with my brother. Just having whatever conversation as we were also trying to play or beat whatever game we were into at the time. But I do lose my place an awful lot and go off on tangents like I just did. But yes, so the different suits. So your hand, like I could be holding a 6 of coins, which is 6, and then the Queen of Air and Darkness is a 13, so I'm at 19, and the Idiot, which is 0, and the 2 of coins, so 21. I'm pretty close. But then the randomizer gets triggered, and my hand is completely different. So that's what really makes Sabacc, a very interesting, complex game, is you never know when the randomizer is going to hit. To prevent losing your good hand, you can put cards into the interference field, in which they will not change. They'll hold their value. But it's hard to bluff. Like if you put your entire hand in the interference field, it probably means you have a whole hand of good stuff. So it's just another level of bluffing in the game. So Han Solo and Lando Calrissian played in basically the World Series of Sabacc on Cloud City, and Han, by the luck of the draw, ended up with pure Sabacc, which is a positive 23, the second best hand in the entire game. The only hand that can beat it is what's called the Idiot's Array, which is holding the Idiot face card, of which there can only be one, a 2, and a 3. So it's like literally 23, 2-3. And Lando had already intentionally shown him an Idiot as he placed it into the interference field. So he knew that Lando had the most important, rarest card of the Idiot's Array, which is the only thing that could beat him. To up the ante, Lando bid a marker, which he didn't have enough coins or chips to cover Han's bet. So he said, all right, this marker is good for any spaceship on my used spaceship lot I have at the time. And Han accepts it, calls, has pure Sabacc. Lando has the Idiot, he has a 2, and he has a 7. Lando loses the card game, Han wins, and as he knew that Lando had taken basically a space Greyhound, but fancy, like a space limo, to the tournament, so he looked like he could afford to lose a lot of money and would be more effective for bluffing, his own prize spaceship, the Millenium Falcon, was sitting right on his lot, right on Lando's used spaceship lot. So Han was happy to take it off of Lando's hands on that technicality. So the Millenium Falcon was Han's ever since. With the other winnings from the big tournament is how Han equipped the Millenium Falcon to be, the powerhouse that it is today. It had a military-grade sensor suite. That's the round radar dish that you actually... Oh, that's weird. I've never had slowdown in this game before, I don't think. That's the round dish on the top of the Millenium Falcon that you can see get knocked off in Return of the Jedi when Lando pilots into the Death Star's core. That was too close. It later gets replaced by a rectangular one for Force Awakens, and that actually is the stock model. That's what it originally looked like before it was replaced. So that's kind of a cool little tidbit. And I remember when the trailer for Force Awakens first came out, a bunch of fans were up in arms like, oh, the Falcon is wrong. Why does it have a rectangular sensor dish now? That's never how it was. And it just kind of proves you obviously don't pay that much attention, because in Return of the Jedi, you can clearly see it getting snapped off. So they're just people just want to find something to complain about, basically. So it has this military-grade sensor dish, a jammer, where basically it's sort of like how the Slave 1's ability works in this game. It makes it so enemy ships can't sense you so well. But the one he installed was actually so powerful that the first time he used it, it blocked his own scanners too. His only, the only thing that saved he and Chewbacca's lives was that it just immediately shorted itself out because of how strong it was. So he replaced it with a, not quite as powerful, but a model that would actually be effective in its purpose. Han also installed the belly gun that you see in Episode 5 that he uses to help escape from Vader and the Stormtroopers. That was installed when he wanted to do a run with the Rebels before Episode 4. He thought he might need the extra cover fire, so he has installed that lowering belly gun. He also has, of course, the famous smuggling compartments that he ends up smuggling himself in, where Rey and Finn hide in Episode 7. He installs those. All this was with the extra cash he won from winning the Big Sabacc tournament. One thing that led to the Falcon being so ornery is it was controlled by 3 different droid brains. So that's where, when C-3PO has the good line about, I don't know where it learned to communicate. It's because it's 3 droids arguing with each other about how best to pilot the ship. As far as its power, it has 2 quad laser cannons. When Lando had the ship, he had one on the top and one on the left side. Han moved them to be top and bottom, as it is when he and Luke famously used them in Episode 4 to escape the TIE fighters from Death Star 1. He also has an Arakid concussion missile launcher, which is between the forward mandibles of the ship. You can sort of see them poking out from certain angles, not really so well here. That's actually illegal. It's too powerful. It's like the equivalent of a random citizen having a bazooka or something. I don't know what people are allowed to have. A tank. I don't know, something that you should not be allowed to have. That's what he had. It's one of the strongest armaments for ship-to-ship combat in the galaxy. So finally, you know, the biggest thing about the Millennium Falcon is its speed, right? Everybody always talks about the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. Han says in episode 4 that it makes 0.5 past light speed. That does not mean 0.5 times the speed of light, or half the speed of light. It doesn't mean 1.5 times the speed of light either. That's its hyperdrive class, is 0.5. And it's the highest classification. There are very few ships that could possibly match the Falcon in hyperspace. Its sublight speeds are like, it's slower than TIE fighters. Like it's not the fastest in less than in like atmospheric flying. But once it gets to hyperspace, there's not much that can top it. Han had a legendary spaceship mechanic called Doc something, I can't remember his last name right now, do some work on the Falcon. And he made it so that the ship streamlines itself in hyperspace, and it protects it from just the obscene level of speed it's able to reach. Other ships have tried, like it's had the same hyperdrive systems as the Falcon, but they've just been ripped to shreds and destroyed in hyperspace because they don't have that same streamlining technology that, you know, Doc invented and created just for the Millennium Falcon to be, you know, just that fast. The Kessel Run is one of the Falcon's many speed accomplishments, making it in less than 12 parsecs. So people like to point out, well, a parsec is a unit of distance, not speed, just like a light year. So it's like saying I made it in less than 15 feet, which, I mean, if it's a set distance of time, it's like I finished the NASCAR 500 and 499 laps. That's how fast I am. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The way that they eventually explained this seeming incongruity is that the Kessel Run is surrounded by black holes and asteroids. That's what makes it so dangerous. Oh, the last ride of the Falcon. And Han shaved so close to the black holes that he was actually able to make the distance shorter because space and time got... So, yeah, it's not the best explanation, but at least it's not him saying, I ran 10 feet in 8 feet. That's how fast I am. So basically, that's the legend of the Millennium Falcon, the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy war stories, we have legends like these, movie reviews, TV talk, wrestling, all sorts of stuff on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But I have something coming every single day here on the Full Nonsense channel. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of it. And I will see you guys soon. I don't know about you, but I'm full.